Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And it's time for Clash at the Castle 2024 predictions. And we're going to be your Sherpas on the Mount Everest of Clash at the Castle predictions, right? Is that what that's a good metaphor, right?
I guess if that's the metaphor you're using, sure.
It's kind of like, all the friendos that are going to be doing the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. It's like that video of Mount Everest where it's just, rich person after rich person after rich person just lined up.
I saw that. And
it's like the DMV.
Yeah, this looks like a tedious thing. And then I saw like a Twitter thread about someone that actually climbed Mount Everest, and it sounded awful.
Okay, so I got some clarification, I think, in the WrestleJuice YouTube comments because I made reference to it not long ago. And somebody said that, to get a bunch of people get to a certain point. Those are the rich people, that are just there for a soulless climb. So, I climb Mount Everest. But then to get to the top. The summit, exactly. That's where it really starts to thin out and less people make it up that. So maybe that's the deal. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to do it anytime soon. No. But what I am going to do is make my case to be Big Blue Predictions champion by participating in the Big Blue Predictions Challenge, Larson.
I've actually won something. Not Big Blue, but I've won a G1. I've won an advantage thing. Listen to me if you're going to listen to either of us about getting wins here in prediction challenges.
How'd that cash-in work out for you, pal?
Hey, man, at least I had a briefcase. You ain't had shit.
You're like the Baron Corbin of,
at least
of going in Raw here. Anyways, all right. Last word, go ahead.
Confidence points. Use confidence points here, Friendo Club Wrestling, for our predictions. 5 matches. Match most confident, you give 5 confidence points. Match least confident, you give 1. You get your picks right. Sorry. Each match must have a unique confidence point value. No duplicating. I tried that. I was caught. You'll get caught too. You get your pick right. You get those points. We add those points up. Add them to total for Battleground, total for Forbidden Door. If you have most points, guess what? You're Big Blue Predictions champ.
You're
Maybe
Big
this
Blue
time it will be
Predictions
Steve.
champion.
It'll be Steve. Steve, I'm rooting for you.
I'm not rooting for you. Why would you be rooting for me? That's weird.
You shouldn't. I've won.
Not Big Blue. Anyways, so Clash of the Castle, there's only 5 matches.
Yeah.
There's 2 that are kind of up in the air, that are pretty much up in the air, I'd say. 3 are complete locks.
Yeah, there's 3 that are absolute sure things. And there's 2 that I don't know.
Let's go ahead and dive into it. Where do you want to start?
Let's kick off with Cody Rhodes quitting wrestling. He's facing AJ Styles, and if he loses, he has to quit, right? That's the stipulation?
He has to quit wrestling altogether. Yeah, whoever loses this quits. No, you just have to say I quit, because if you don't want to be in this match anymore, much like the other day, basketball, I wanted to quit that because it was so damn hot outside, man.
It ain't going to get any better, buddy.
I know it's only going to get worse from here. So, yeah, whoever says I quit loses the match. I got Cody with 4 confidence points because there ain't no way the American Nightmare is going to say I quit.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's going to say, whoa.
Yeah.
But he ain't going to say I quit. I got Cody with 3 just in case they want to prolong this feud. Cody's winning just in case. Just in case.
3.
They were like, AJ will give you the win here. Good brothers, help him out. I quit. No DQ. Cody can get him with 3 magic killers.
Whoa, yeah. Well, just you can't lose this match via passing out.
No, I know, but Luke Gallows could sit on Cody until Cody gives up. I don't know what the situation. I'm saying possibility exists. Something like that could happen where Cody could lose. This might be a 1% chance it happens. Nonetheless, taking that into account, that's why I only have 3 confidence points.
Maybe if AJ suckers him into it, if he says something like, "Hey, Cody, let me ask you a quick question. What'd you tell them Young Bucks when you went in there and said you were going to sign with WWE?"
Oh, that'd be good.
I said I quit. Oh, God!
You champ.
I got you. Okay, all right, fair enough. 3 confidence points. Next match. Where do you want to go?
Next up, we got Bianca and Jade defending those women's tag titles against Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler and Isla Dawn, Alba Fire. It's Bianca, Jade with 5. They ain't losing those titles anytime soon.
5 confidence points. 5 on Jade and Bianca. They're not losing those titles anytime soon.
No. All right, this is where things get a little more unpredictable here for the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn defending against Chad Gable. Steve, who do you got and why? And how many confidence points do you have on your winner?
Oh, boy. This is a tough one. I feel like I got Chad with 2 confidence points.
All right.
I feel like you can open with this one because that would mean potentially, depending on, I guess, how they book this, 2 title matches in 5 bouts. Seems like kind of a lot. But if they open with the Intercontinental Championship match and they close with Drew McIntyre, then there's like 3 matches separating them. Yeah, I feel like Chad Gable, he's got potentially all of Alpha Academy, the Creeds potentially, all having his back. He's already lost like what, twice now, I think?
Yeah, something like that.
For the Intercontinental Championship. I just feel like Chad Gable as Intercontinental Champion just makes a lot of sense. You know, him sort of hoarding this power over his students, his pupils, whatever you want to call them. I think that just makes too much sense. Sammy does not need a lengthy title run. He does not need that. He's arguably, I'm not even going to say arguably, he is better chasing. Although that time when he was he lost the Intercontinental Championship, and that's when he started doing the documentary stuff, right? Because it was a conspiracy.
Yeah.
See, that was good stuff.
It was good stuff.
So, yeah, I think Chad wins here. I got 2 confidence points.
Of the 2 matches, the outcome seems less certain to me. This one seems the most uncertain because I'll freely admit I really have no direction in which they're going with this. The most obvious, potentially least interesting direction is Otis turns on Chad Gable, Sammy retains, which would lead to feud between Otis and Chad, which, would probably be good, but I feel like, especially the way Triple H books, where he likes to take time with stuff, it could potentially be more interesting to say, hey, Otis tries to cost Chad Gable the match, fails, Chad wins anyways. Or Chad instructs Otis to help him cheat to win. Otis, again, hesitant to do it. Guess what? I got a couple guys. This is Chad Gable talking. I got a couple guys that'll help me. Julius and Brutus Creed. And so we have the story of Alpha Academy 2.0 starting to push out the first iteration of the group because they will listen to Chad's orders. The most interesting stories seem to arise from a Chad Gable win here. So I got Gable winning only 1 confidence point, though. I feel a little better about the outcome of the World Heavyweight Championship match.
I feel better about this one, and we'll talk about the world title thing here in a second. I feel a little bit better about this one. Triple H seems to enjoy the story of the good guy trapped in a sea of bad guys. Obviously, Sami Zayn referenced Roman Reigns and the bloodline being sort of trapped there and his reasons for staying. Paul Heyman now with bad bloodline. That's a story. The idea of Otis being the guy that everybody really wants to turn on Chad Gable, but him having some very deep personal reasons why he won't, but continually getting more and more sort of deeper and deeper into the waters with this group, especially if they bring in bad creeds. I think there's so many good story ideas there that kind of only work if Gable has that Intercontinental Championship. I don't think it can continue to be, help me get this. We already see Otis is on the verge of leaving him, and if Gable continues to lose, there's nothing keeping him there. And like we said on our show earlier, the title is more than just a championship accomplishment. It means power. It means sway. It means stroke. It's intimidation. It's all these things. And that is something that if somebody has that, you can't just leave them. I mean, look at Roman Reigns. So yeah, I think that it just makes sense. And on top of that, when we talk about them taking their time to get there, they've taken their time to get to this point. Mm-hmm. I don't think it makes much sense to wait any longer. So that's why I put 2 on Chad Gable. I think it's gonna happen at Clash.
There you go. Let's talk WWE Women's Championship. Bayley defending against Piper Niven. Bayley's winning this one. I got 4 confidence points on Bayley. Now when Bayley faces Nia Jax at SummerSlam, that one, wait to see how the story plays out, but less certain about the outcome of that one going into it. This one, pretty certain. Piper's great. Her promo on SmackDown this past Friday was awesome. She just hasn't been consistently booked as... I know she's the dominant one of her and Chelsea as a tag team, but we haven't seen a lot of singles matches of late with Piper dominating the competition. And without that, I just don't feel like there's much of the chance she's going to win this bout. I got Bayley with 4.
It'll be the only thing that's interesting here. I have Bayley with 3. The only thing to me that would, I think number one, besides it just being a good match, I think it will be.
Yeah, I think it will be too.
I think the most interesting thing to see here is what will Piper Niven bring to Bayley that will seem like a major weakness for Bayley going against Nia Jax. Mm-hmm. That will get Nia Jax the actual win, because I think that's a distinct possibility. You mentioned that just now. And so to look for them to drop some, Easter eggs or some, whatever foreshadowing, mm-hmm. to look ahead at SummerSlam, I think could be very interesting. To see how Chelsea Green factors into this could be interesting as well. But yeah, I don't see there's any possibility that Bayley doesn't win this. I just think it's kind of, and on top of that, like Europe loves Bayley. Mm-hmm. So it's not like she's going to go in and she's going to get, I think Piper's going to get a tremendous response. Yeah. But I also wouldn't underestimate the response that Bayley's going to get as well.
Yep, certainly. All right, let's talk this World Heavyweight Championship bout. We got Damian Priest. Defending against Drew McIntyre. Steve, what do you got?
So I've got Drew. I've got 1 confidence point, and that's why I'll tell you why I've got 1 as opposed to 2, like you have. And it's because in my mind, I could see them wanting to extend Priest's World Championship run up until Berlin, even past SummerSlam. He beats Gunther there thanks to Judgment Day. They take it to Berlin, and Gunther wins there. As opposed, I could see that being the case, and maybe something that they would be more into, as opposed to Drew McIntyre simply with a 2-month or 3-month reign or whatever it would be at that point. So I could see that being the case. Drew McIntyre then gets into a thing with CM Punk for, because that's what they've been doing. Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk at SummerSlam, that's a grudge feud. It doesn't need the title, even though the title at WrestleMania was the big thing. So maybe it does need the title. So that's why I'm more reluctant about putting more confidence points on this one than the Chad Gable thing. The Chad Gable thing seems to just line up. Like I'm not going to say it for a certainty at all, but like there are so many more options for Chad Gable. With Priest, it's been an underwhelming title run, and maybe they want to salvage that a little bit. Maybe they want to, squeeze some story out of his loss here at Clash at the Castle, and I think that's a distinct possibility. So I'm not certain about it, but at the same time, it's also Drew McIntyre in Scotland, and they have like a bunch of different things, like a ton of different things they could do here. It's honestly just like looking at the only reason I think that I have 1 on this, it's the length of the runs, and it's the effectiveness of this run. It hasn't been terribly effective, and maybe they want to keep on trying so you get to that critical point and then he loses it, as opposed to just, he's farted along since WrestleMania for the last 2 months, through 2.5 months, and then they just drop it. So that's why there's so many unknowns here. But the one thing that I do know, they're in Scotland. Drew McIntyre's from Scotland. And if nothing else, maybe we'll get the return of the Gameskeeper.
Maybe. All right, keep in mind, these predictions are for entertainment purposes only. These aren't binding predictions by any stretch of the imagination.
Correct.
So we could change our mind. We have up until 9:30 Saturday morning to get our final picks in. But as I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you talk and I'm thinking things over, what is one constant in Drew McIntyre's story since he's turned heel? It's getting on the precipice.
Yeah.
Getting on the precipice of greatness, of achieving his goals, of having his moment, only to come up short because of his own failings.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Judgment Day, banned from ringside. Carlito's not in Judgment Day officially. You got to consider CM Punk. Maybe he'll get involved and cost Drew this match. We don't know what Liv Morgan's endgame is as it relates to Judgment Day. So as I sit here now, this could change in 10 minutes. As I sit here now, I got Damian Priest winning with 2 confidence points.
Wow. So hold on a second.
And in fact, if this show wasn't in Scotland, I would have a lot more confidence on Damian Priest winning.
Everything you just said doesn't give you more pause than the Chad Gable one.
I mean, again, it could easily flip.
Yeah, no, I agree.
2 on Chad Gable, 1 on Damian Priest.
But here's the thing.
Full transparency. When we started this, I had Drew McIntyre with 2, and as you were talking, and I was thinking about it more, I'm like, what the heck? This is for fun. But I think there's a case to be made for Damian Priest winning. A win over Drew McIntyre, whether it's clean or not, is going to help bolster his case as being a relevant and legitimate World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, no, dude, I agree with everything you're saying, which is why I gave this 1. Yeah. I'm just interested in why you give this 2 as opposed to the Sami Zayn, because I didn't hear you say there.
It was Drew at first, and then I got to thinking, and I changed it. So if I can't come into this with Priest as the pick, it would have been Priest with 1.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Because when I was sitting here filling out my form before we got started, I'm like, oh, Scotland. They're not going to have all the Scottish wrestlers lose in Scotland.
That is also another thing to take into consideration.
Which is what I mentioned. If this show wasn't in Scotland, I would have a lot more confidence on Damian Priest winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, he just won the belt 2 months ago. Hasn't been the most impactful title reign. And something tells me they don't want their lineage of champions to include reigns that were kind of underwhelming. And if it ends up being Priest versus Gunther at SummerSlam, Gunther will win that. I don't think there's any chance Damian Priest beats Gunther. Period.
Okay, let me ask you this, though.
And then Gunther walks into Berlin as champ.
In terms of, like, if your reasoning is they don't want this to be underwhelming, can he turn around in 2 months and make this a good one?
You know what? In a lot of ways, what kind of resuscitated Seth Rollins' title reign was the feud against Drew McIntyre. Mm-hmm. Before that, it was fine. Mm-hmm. But that feud, especially Drew's performance during that feud, really elevated the World Heavyweight Championship, in my estimation.
Yeah.
Because it was the most compelling thing on Raw at the time. And apart from The Rock being back on WTV, it was probably the most compelling story going on at WWE. Mm-hmm. It just takes one story.
That's true. Oh, that's definitely
for a title reign to feel more meaningful than it did before. And whether it's Priest feuding with Drew or somebody else between now and SummerSlam, it just takes one good story being told. And if it's Finn winning at Money in the Bank or something, I don't know. If there's a story they can crack between now and SummerSlam that feeds into what's going on with Judgment Day and makes Damian a really compelling character, and we get some good matches out of it, then yeah, in hindsight, I think we'll look back at this reign and be like, yes, this was the highlight of it, and this made the reign, even though he's going to lose to Gunther at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'll just go with Damian Priest for now. Why not?
Okay. All right. I'm curious to know what you actually go with on day of, when it's all locked in and we're enjoying our breakfast offerings,
maybe we'll wait
which at this point might just be Arby's
5 for 5, man.
Yeah, I think we might do 5 for 5 on that one. Hopefully, it said those shirts ship within one business.
You know what we
so
should do?
Get mine. What?
There's 5 sandwiches. There's 5 matches, Steve. A 5 and 5 challenge. One Arby's sandwich for every match. The thought of that just made Steve's internet freeze up. All right, well, goodbye, everybody. Join us. Clash at the Castle stream this Saturday, a little bit before 10 o'clock Pacific. That'd be 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there. Goodbye.